Yeah, I got a notice to greetings from the president. You heard of that? And so we had the greetings from the president, and so we had that was in San Diego where I was working in the airplane factory, and they took about 5 bus loads of us out there to close to by. And but the airplane factory sent their doctors out to take our physicals and turned us all down. They wanted to keep us. But I think there's 3 people out of that 5 bus loads that they kept. So we went back and we thought, well, that's put us all in 4F. We thought we was in pretty good shape, but they put us in 4F. But anyhow, then we decided, well, if we're going to be here, we might as well start our family. That's when we decided to start her. And anyhow, then another month or 2 after they decided that, they decided that they'd send us all back to Los Angeles to get a physical from the Army. So that those 5 bus loads, they kept all of us except 3, I think. By then, though, I just got home and they said, you better get ready to go to the Army. So I went to took my basic training in Camp Roberts, California, jungle training for Japan. And that's when Germany got a little rougher. So they sent us to Germany.
Do you have, Barbara, do you have his awards, that beautiful...
The
map? No, the map, yeah, the map that he had. So you were scheduled to go to Japan, did your jungle training, and then they sent you to
Germany.
Europe.
Yeah.
This is something that, if you would like to hold that, Gayle, I think this is a beautiful document that I'd like to...
Is that about like that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I look better that way, don't I?
And there's his picture when he was in the Armored Infantry Division. And this shows the different, the map and I guess the route that you went.
That's his march that they went on.
That was the march.
Red lines and black lines is where we all went.
So this was the 5th Armored from the Rhine River to the
LB River.
LB River, okay. And that is a very beautiful map, and we will scan that because that shows you were in Hanover, Germany, and Dresden.
The what?
I just said you were in Dresden.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't remember those names. We didn't stay long enough to get an address.
Is that right?
Got enough of that? Okay.
That's perfect. How many battles when you were moving through that? About how many battles were you involved with? I mean,
Well,
you were shot.
It was just a lot of little towns. We just went mainly on the road and always looking for soldiers. We weren't looking for civilians.
The Battle of the Bulge is what he was in.
You know, that was the end of the Battle of the Bulge, is what I was in. And then this is, I think this is after the Battle of the Bulge. I got to them after the Battle of the Bulge. Well, I guess that's what they call the one that comes across from England and across France, was not the Battle of the Bulge, wasn't it?
Bulge.
Well, got there just the end of that. I was replacements for some of those.
And so you were just really kind of mopping things up. You were just pushing through
Well, Hitler was kind of playing out, so we was taking advantage of it. We'd go
you were pushing.
pushing.
Yeah. What,
They better just move out of our way, though.
now, what do you remember most about that? Was it the mud? Was it the destruction when you were pushing through with the 5th Armor?
Well, we started. This is the year I got there. It's later in the front. I got there in January.
January of what year?
45.
Okay.
I think. And we were spent waiting some time. I was a replacement. A lot of people was. I think they told me there wasn't but 60 people left in the company before I got there. They wiped them out pretty much. But we getting that building up, and then we went ahead to You want to hold that, or is it?
No, I think we're fine, so, yeah.
Anyhow, we didn't have big battles, but they knew we was coming.
And did you remember the destruction? I mean, with the,
Oh yeah, the houses, and sometimes they'd get messed up pretty good, you know. One time they said, well, this house up there is full of soldiers, so we got ready for them. And then there wasn't any. So,
big relief.
yeah. But anyhow, I was the 5th Armored Infantry, and I was in the half track. And one night we stopped at one of those places. I don't remember the town. I didn't try to remember the town. But anyhow, one of those hand grenades, I guess the hand grenade or bigger, whatever it is, exploded right by my half track, and it rolled over the edge and hit me on the knee. It didn't make any blood, but it hit me there, and then I reached down and picked up the piece of black stuff there, and it was hotter. It hurt worse than the knee. It was hot. I wished I'd kept it, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't think I needed it.
yeah. That would have been a good piece of
Metal strap.
yeah, metal strap.
I could put it on the thing there, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. You could have added it to your map.
Yeah.
So you came home then after you came back from Europe, and then where was your port of entry when you returned from Europe? Did you come over on a ship? Did you come back on
Well, ship, that's the only way we knew was ships. Took 2 weeks to go over and about 10 days to come back. But we come back to Boston. What I was glad to see was I was getting close to home and I saw the Statue of Liberty. That made me feel pretty good. I went into that harbor, and then we stayed about 2 days, I guess, and then they sent us to El Paso. From there we was going to be sent to Fort Hood, Texas, I think. But the time changes, and when we got there, they said, we'll just give you a discharge, and we was all happy.
And so you beat it back to Hot Springs.
Yeah. Well, I went to El Paso first. That's when Mom and her dad, the one you, yeah, he brought Barbara and Ruth to El Paso, where I got off the plane. They picked us up and brought us back home here. But she didn't want to pay attention to me. She never had seen. She was in the hospital when I left, and then I was in the hospital. I wasn't in the hospital. They was in the hospital when I left, and I didn't know when they got out of the hospital because I was on the road, and mail hadn't caught up with us until the end of February. She was born in December. But anyhow, I didn't know whether they did or not, but they did, so everything was okay.
Everything. So you came back and started. You know, you had your family started, and you were living then at that time. Were you living over on Veeder Street or?
No, I was still living up. When I first got back, where Pop Hal lived up on the second story. That's where he lived. And I got my mail while I was waiting for a boat, and the boat said first mail I got was that she had died. Ruth's mom had died, and they got. I opened up the letter that before I opened up the one that said she was sick. About 6 or 8 letters at one time there, and then we was at the town at the Mercedes, France. And we got where we didn't say good morning. We said no boats. We was waiting for the first boats that wanted us. We were ready to go.
You were ready.
They had tents there for us to stay in. So then it took us 10 days to come across, and it didn't take me but 1 day to get seasick again. I got seasick every time I get on water. On big, not out the lake, but that kind of stuff.
So when you came back and you were living, we have a map, and you were showing that when you bought the propane, you kept your propane truck parked down on Broadway, correct?
There between Dr. Johnson's office and the Broadway Dry Goods, it was empty at that time. And I was living upstairs. Grandpa wanted us to move upstairs, or stay up there. Her and Ruth was already there, and they wanted me to stay. So I stayed there about 2 years with the propane business. And my truck right across the street, there were those empty, where those lots. Now they're filled in. They got 4 buildings in there between them now.
Right. And I think where we were talking about is now Dr. Johnson's office is now where Yoshi's bookstore is, which is on the corner of Broadway and what is that street there? I can't. Till we live in a small town, we don't even know the names of the streets.
Daniels? I think it's Daniels.
Daniels on the corner of Yoshi's store, bookstore, which was Dr. Johnson's.
And the drugstores, that road you're talking about, right between the drugstore, yeah.
Right, yeah, and Davis Fleck is on the west, and Yoshi's bookstore was where Dr. Johnson's was on the east side, and then that was where.
It's on the west side of that block and the east of the drugstore. Is that what you mean? Yep.
And it was where Piggly Wiggly was. Was Piggly Wiggly there at that time, or was it a grocery store?
There was a grocery, not there. I think Dr. Johnson had that building built, I think.
Right, but I'm talking about across the street.
Well, across the street was a grocery store, all right. But
There
it
were
was,
just some little houses, little apartment houses or something right
yeah,
next to Dr.
before they
Rogers.
before they built the big store, it was a grocery store of some kind. I don't know. Forgot what it was.
And I think at one time, wasn't Bullock's somewhere down there where Dr. Rogers building was? Was that where Bullock's?
Well, no, right. Dr. Rogers was his building, and then right there was where Grandpa's Pop House building started. And then his building was next. I mean, the grocery store was next.
Bullock's was.
Bullock's, that's where they started.
Right.
And then they found out they needed a bigger place. So that's when they built the place where they are now.
Right, which is down on the corner of Broadway and Post, Broadway and Post. So
I believe that's right.
yeah. And when you were living upstairs, did you ever sleep out on the? I think that you had wasn't there a veranda out there?
Had a sleeping porch on that hanging over the porch. Then when they come with the new road, I had to take that off, widen the street just a little bit.
And that was in what, the late 50s or early 1960s when they.
65 or 60 in the 60s, I think.
Right, and so.
That's when about when they built the new road. 25 was in 65, I believe. And that's about the same, pretty close. The 25 went on through town and then joined out the other end, just like it does now.
When they built the exchange, they built the I guess it would be, they had the interstate as the where you could do a bypass where you didn't have to come through the town.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to get off, you had the business.
You could get off if you wanted to.
Right, yeah. So what kind of medals? You know, I think you were telling you lost. You had the picture with some of your ribbons in it, but
Yeah. On that, I don't think that we got a picture anyhow. I was looking for my ribbons and something happened to them. I don't know. I lost some guns. I think it all went at the same time. I don't know how they got them, but I may find them. I'll back up if that's wrong.
yeah.
But anyhow, I've ordered some new ones.
Good. So it did happen.
Yes.
Excellent. And for the audience, when we were visiting last week, we had given some ideas on a website or a phone number where they could find, and we're able to replace those.
We went to Cruces yesterday. Went to the Army place down at Cruces, and
Excellent.
that's where we got it started. We haven't got them yet. I don't know when.
It'll be, but that's excellent. So you'll
Yeah.
have your replacements. So that's fantastic.